we are taking a look at the Wayward Sister fighters from the Unmatched games. Now, the Wayward Sisters are from the Slings and Arrows set, which features Shakespeare and some of his creations, the Wayward Sisters, along with Titania and Hamlet. Now, the Wayward Sisters are from the play Macbeth, or I could call it the Scottish play, if you're like really scared of, supernatural stuff. So we have three sisters. Yes, three sisters. And we can see the minis. We got like all these details on them. We can see they have beards because in the play it is remarked that they had beards. That was probably because all of Shakespeare's actors were dudes. And if he gave the Wayward Sisters beards, then he could just have any dude play the Wayward Sisters. 3 health dials for them because they are 3 separate heroes. And we can see on here that they were given names. We have Sister Howlet, Sister Venom, and Sister Sting, who is the only one that knows how to play the bass. Of course, they have tried to do their thing to make these look a little bit differently, kind of what they did with the Raptors, to help you be able to identify them. They're in different poses. I was going to give them names until I saw that they had names, and I was a little disappointed, because I was going to call them Staffy, Smokey, and Handsy. And their dial shows them in that pose, see very clearly, the staff. You'll see this symbol here, which is kind of like this pointy beak skull thing. And if you notice on the back of their cloak, it's hard to get on camera, but they've actually got that symbol here on their cloak on each of them. So that's another way to tell them apart. They all are your hero, according to the new rule effects that go on there. You have to have all 3 of them defeated to lose. Anything that affects a hero, you choose which of your heroes that goes against. The Wayward Sisters. They are melee heroes with a health of 6. Most of the time in Unmatched, magic makes you ranged. So the Sisters and Oberon are the only magical characters that are melee. They have a move of 2. Their special ability is Bubbling Brew. Your cards go into your cauldron instead of your discard pile. After you attack, you may cast 1 spell that you have the ingredients for. If you do, discard all the cards in your cauldron. This set, you get a cauldron. Whoa, what is this thing? This is awesome. It's got your spell book on the bottom of it with your 4 different spells. You see there's 3 different ingredients. And basically each combination of 2 ingredients will get you something. Either draw 1 card, one of your fighters recovers 1 health, move any fighter up to 3 spaces, or deal 1 damage to a fighter that shares a zone with any of your fighters, or all 3, which gain you an action. And basically this big cauldron here, your cards can just go into the cauldron. This cauldron thing is pretty nice. Okay, that's awesome. This is really a big, nice thing. The only downside to it is if you're using some sort of storage solution, like if you had gotten the Restorations storage solution back when it was available, or if you're planning to get it, it's not gonna. It doesn't work. And when you have new players and they get to have this big thing that nobody else has, it's pretty awesome. We're going to look at the rule book here for some clarifications on some stuff. Your cards go into the cauldron instead of your discard pile. Specifically says on here that each of your cards has an ingredient on it, snake, bat, or lizard's leg. When you would place an action card in your discard pile, whether it was played, used to boost, or discarded by effect, place it in your cauldron instead. So this is a little bit different than Shakespeare. Shakespeare has to actually play it in combat. So if it's discarded or if it's boosted, it does not go into his line. These go into your cauldron no matter what. So they go into your cauldron no matter what. However, you can only cast a spell after you attack. It's not any time a card goes in there, it's when you attack. Additionally, you get to cast one spell, and then your cauldron clears out. So if you got like 5 cards in your cauldron, you're only gonna cast one spell. Okay, let us look at what the sisters have. Double, Toil and Trouble, Fire Burn, and Cauldron Bubble. And if we look at this here, we can see that this is one giant piece of artwork there, that they make one piece of artwork, and that's really awesome. I guess since they were making Zoe do like 5 different horrors in Shakespeare's deck, they're like, hey, we'll let you do one piece of art for 3 different sisters cards to kind of make up for that. Each sister on one of these cards here, it's 3 different types of cards, and it's also a different ingredient on each of the cards. So this is a nice kind of sampling of everything that the sisters have in their deck. Double is an attack of 3. All of the cards are innies because any of the sisters can play them. During combat, increase the value of this card by +1 for each different ingredient symbol in your cauldron. So if you manage to have 3 different ones in your cauldron, you could bring this up to a 6. It's +1 for each in your cauldron. Remember that this symbol here, the lizard leg here, is not in your cauldron yet. Going to be able to ramp that up. You're going to have another lizard leg in your cauldron already. 3 copies of that one. 3 copies of Toil and Trouble, which is a defense of 2. During combat, increase the value of this card by +1 for each different ingredient in your cauldron. Yeah, it's basically the same effect as that one. It is. They're very similar to each other. This is just a defense. It's only at a 2. This could ramp up to a 5, which this is Snake, which of course, once again, you would have to have another copy of Snake already in your cauldron because this will not go into your cauldron until after the combat has resolved. And Fire Burn and Cauldron Bubble, a versatile of 3. This is return a card in your discard pile to your cauldron. Now this one could be really good here because this one is about to go into your cauldron. So you could play this immediately, return a card in your discard pile to your cauldron. You could like grab something that was Snake or Lizard Leg and pull one of these off. Additionally, if you had like 1 card of a different type in there, you could drop that in there and then instantly have the 3 to do the action game. So on an attack, you could pull off one of your spells really easily from this one here. All Seeing Familiar. This is an attack of 4. Return a card in your discard pile to your cauldron. Well, it's kind of the same thing as this here. Lets you once again pull something out of the discard pile and put it into your cauldron, so you could use that to get an effect. But also, after combat, if you won the combat, look at the top card of your deck and put it in your hand or your cauldron. So if you win with this, which this is a 4, you can win with 4s on attack sometimes. You could also look at the top card of your deck and decide, do you want to draw that or do you want to drop it into your cauldron to pull off an effect. Hurly Burly, an attack of 3. During combat, reveal the top card of your deck. Your opponent chooses one. Well, this is your opponent choosing. So whenever your opponent chooses, that's never good for you. Put that card in your hand. Put that card in your cauldron at its boost value to this card's value. If ended with a 4 and you get something with like a 1 come up, they may just decide to like, yeah, we'll drop it in the cauldron and add the boost value. But then it's in the cauldron. It's still they're choosing between one bad effect and another for them, because neither of those are going to be good for them. Pricking of My Thumbs, a defense of 2. After combat, deal damage to the opposing fighter equal to the amount of combat damage you took. There's other cards that are like this one here. This one is a 2, which means it can be pretty big. Of course, your sisters all only have 6 health each. So that's a dangerous thing. You can end up taking a lot more damage than you mean to on characters that don't have a whole lot of health, so you gotta be careful with that. Unnatural Remedy, a defense of 1. Immediately discard up to 3 cards from your cauldron. For each one, choose a fighter, recover 1 health. You may choose the same fighter more than once. This is choose a fighter. It's not one of your fighters, just a fighter. So that could be in a co-op game. That could be one of your fighters. Since this is immediate, it's going to be before the combat happens. So you can like bring up your sister's health to help them deal with that attack that's coming. Ward, reversal of 3. After combat, place the opposing fighter in any space in your fighter's zone. So you get to just move that opposing fighter. Curious Familiar, reversal of 2. After combat, return a card in your cauldron to your hand. So if you get a lot of cards in your cauldron, you do have a way to get a card out of your cauldron back into your hand. And also, if you remember, some of those other cards had the effects that let you pull things from your discard pile into your cauldron. You could pull it from the discard pile, stick it in your cauldron, and then from your cauldron back into your hand. So you've got ways to get a lot of stuff in there and get some recursion going. The Stars Align. This is a versatile of 0. This is also the foil card. If you get it from Restoration, you can see the foil that's on it there. The value of this card is equal to the number of different zones all your fighters are in. Well, you have 3 fighters. It's all the different zones that they are in. Like right here, we would have like basically 5 right now. We stick her over here. That could be a 6. There's potential for this to ramp up. You just got to do creative things. You just got to make sure you don't count the same zone twice, because it's not each zone that each sister is, it's each zone that all of them are in. So, like they're both in the purple when they're on these tri-zone spaces here. And this is the one thing in your deck that really losing sisters can make this a lot less valuable. And we'll get into our 2 schemes that we have here. Prophecy. This is right out of King Arthur's deck. This was a Merlin card. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put 2 of them in your hand and the other 2 back on top of your deck in any order. And something wicked this way comes. Cast any spell. Then cast a different spell. Do not discard any cards from your cauldron to cast these spells. This is, you just get to cast 2 spells. You do not have to have the cards to play these spells. You do not have to spend the cards. You just get to pick 2 of these 4 effects. It just have to be a different spell. It is cast any spell, then cast a different spell. So you can't gain 2 actions, or heal twice, or damage twice. Okay, so we see that the sisters have a lot of different effects there, and they got these different spells. So right now I've got everything sorted by the card type here. I'm going to sort this out by ingredient, and we're going to take a look at the ingredients and see how this goes. Okay, so let's take a look at Snake here. We have 10. We have 10 cards here, so that's a third of your deck is Snake. This is going to include all of your defense cards. So Snake, you have the attack that can give you Snake. But most of the time you can get Snake off of defending. Outside of doing things like pulling it out of your discard pile or off the top of your deck. Lizard Leg is going to be made up of some versatiles, big chunk of your attacks, and one of the schemes. So a lot of attacks to be able to get these. You do have Prophecy, which can do that, and then Stars Align, which is can be used either way, but this is a lot of attacks to give you legs. And then Bat is probably going to be your most common one to be able to get there, because this is largely versatiles with just something wicked this way comes. And each of these do have exactly 10 cards of each type of ingredient, so you have an even mix of ingredients. So things you got to watch on this here. Managing your sisters to where your sisters are not getting hit too much, because your opponents, even though taking out individual sisters doesn't hurt you as much, they're still going to want to try to take out one sister at a time. If you get a sister at 1 health and a sister at 5, they're going to likely try to go up there and do something to the sister that's sitting at 1 health. So being able to manage them and shuffle them around to where they are not getting wiped out is going to be important. Being able to manage the cauldron, getting a lot of different cards in there can be good for you. and just knowing the right time to cast the spells to be able to get those. Once again, you are a little bit limited on when you can cast the spells since they have to be after attacks. But that'll be the big things, managing the cards that are in your cauldron, casting the right spells at the right time, and being able to manage your sister's health so you don't lose your sisters on there, because they are low health on there. If you get into exhaustion, it starts going bad for you because all of your fighters will start taking exhaustion simultaneously, and you're only at like 6. You're a little bit better than like raptors because you can heal, but still it's not a whole lot of healing. You got some cards that can do it and the spell that can do it. You do draw a card when you heal off of a spell, so while you do heal, it does push you closer to exhaustion. So you've got to get things done before you get into exhaustion. I think if you start getting into exhaustion, it's really not going to go well for you. They could win in exhaustion, but it would be fairly rough, I think. But anyway, that's what's going on with these sisters. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. You can go down to the comment section and let me know anything that you think down there. And you can also subscribe to my channel and make sure that you catch all the videos that I post so you don't miss anything. I'm Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and we'll see you around next time.